Max Kellerman. I'm telling you. Oh, does Pat Riley want this? Oh, does Pat Riley want this?
Yeah.
I mean,
you say no expectations. Not with the Heat. They got high expectations.
Let me explain something to you real quick, Max. And I said this to you before, and I said it to both of you before. Pat Riley was planning on retiring until LeBron James departed from South Beach. That's 6 years ago.
Yeah.
This man was looking to go away. He's still around. And if he was straight up honest and looking you in your face and being very transparent, he'll tell you that it might not be the only reason, but LeBron might be the #1 reason he's still around, because he left. Pat Riley wants this, and anybody that knows anything about Pat Riley, when you are associated with one of his organizations, this is why he's the winner within. Because what he wants, you tend to want very badly as well, because he wants it.
When you talk about the alpha of the NBA, it's actually Pat Riley going back decades.
17 finals appearances.
He even outlasted Phil Jackson, who looked like he was just going to be a better coach, and he was taking.
He's the man.
Pat Riley's the man over everyone, and that's a good point. I want to say this: the Heat actually resemble the Detroit Pistons in 04, or the Spurs team when Tim Duncan was in decline.
More so Detroit in 04.
Right, Detroit.
More so Detroit, right.
Yeah, but the point is that they don't have a top 5 player, but they got a lot of dudes who work together and play hard and play very well. So they do resemble the type of team that can pull off the upset. I just want to mention, though, what was the last team? It was like, well, you can't beat them. KD and Steph, 2 top 5, 6 players on the same team. And 2 MVP caliber players on the same team.
It wasn't because of KD and Steph. It was because of KD, Steph, and Clay.
Oh, and Dre, and no question. But the #1 thing that made them impossible is they had 2 MVP caliber players on the same team. Before that, KD and Steph, Paul George. Paul George did not play like a top 5 or 10 player in the playoffs, and therefore the Clippers gone. What if Paul George would have been a top 5 player in these playoffs? Clippers would still be playing, right? Maybe, who knows who wins that series. It comes down to the history of the league. Yes, the Heat resemble that kind of team that can upset the apple cart once a decade. But LeBron and AD resemble almost every combination that's won the championship. There's no one close that has 2 top 5, 6 players still on the same team.
But what you have to remember is that 04 Pistons team, they had Chauncey, who was Mr. Big Shot.
Mm-hmm.
You had Rip Hamilton, who could ball. Okay,
and traded for Rasheed Wallace.
And was a 6'7" swingman who could shoot. You had Tayshaun Prince, who was an elite defender. Okay, plus you had Ben and Rasheed Wallace, who could play a 4-on-5, and they were guarding Shaq one-on-one at times. Benny Wallace was, okay? And, of course, Shaq and Kobe, God rest his soul, were not on the same page at that particular moment in time. So that did not help matters. But in the end, that, along with the exceptional coaching of the great Larry Brown, that ultimately propelled them. What do we say now? Eric Spoelstra, elite coach. Joe Dumars was running that organization. Now Pat Riley's running this organization. Then you look at stars. There's no superstars, but they got a bunch of rough riders. Even a guy like Kelly Olynyk coming off the bench, a big body, but can also step away from the basket and hit some perimeter shots. Bam Adebayo in a Game 6 of an Eastern Conference Finals at his young age dropped 32 and 14. And then you got a slew of guards who can score, and they can score off the dribble. You can't sleep on them, is what I'm saying.
You can't sleep.
You can't sleep on them.
The difference was back then, and I was the only one I knew in the national press, so I thought the Pistons were going to sweep the Lakers. I was surprised the Lakers even got a game because Shaq had delayed surgery on his toe or his foot right that season.
Yep.
And so he was jumping up and down in like a cylinder. He was not really Shaquille O'Neal. AD is really AD right now. LeBron is really LeBron right now. This is not Shaq and Kobe not on the same page, and the big man is not really himself. Their big man is his best version of himself, and LeBron is still all world. It's not that the Heat can't do it, but I understand the odds. These are big odds.
All right, it all gets going tomorrow on ABC. Guys, Chi-Town, stand up. How about those Chicago Bears? 3